Good evening. Thank you for joining me here on the Royal House of Ra. I am your host, Amenhotep Khufu El Ra. Today's show is episode 21, and we're going to be discussing the last pharaohs, the last four pharaohs of the 19th dynasty. As mentioned before in previous episodes, the 19th dynasty is part of the New Kingdom period. And in this period of Kemetan history is the Empire Age. This is the age of empire, expansion of the Kemet's territory, going to wars and defeating enemies, getting tributes from these enemies, and this was the incredible age where the three major dynasties, which was the 18th, 19th, and 20th dynasties, part of the New Kingdom, were the dynasties that maintained Kemet as a nation and repel all possible enemies, and to expand Kemet's territory in other regions. So this was a great age not only for expansion and military prowess, but also creativity, building works. A lot of great things happened in this period. So now I want to give a thanks to all of my supporters who support the Royal House of Ra. Please continue to do so. Please subscribe, share, and hit that like button, because when you hit that like button, that helps out with our show here on YouTube. Now, also, we're going to do this Thursday, March 24th, at 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and 12 p.m. Pacific Time. We'll be doing episode 22. And that episode is going to be discussing the last dynasty of the New Kingdom period. And that dynasty is Dynasty 20. So within Dynasty 20, you have 10 pharaohs of that dynasty. And the pharaohs of those dynasties, most of them have the names of Ramses. The first pharaoh of that dynasty is Seti, who was the founder of that dynasty. And the second pharaoh of that dynasty is Ramses III, in which I am his descendant. Yes, he has living descendants, and I'm one of them. And as I mentioned, if you look at my the first episode of this channel, I have done a breakdown on genetic DNA breakdown, showing my connections to Ramses III through DNA. So I am his living descendant, and that royal blood flows through me and other descendants of Ramses III. Now, before we go on with the show, because today's show is going to be kind of short because there's not so much information on these the last four pharaohs of the 19th dynasty. So it's going to be pretty short today, unfortunately. But as I mentioned before, when you do certain historical research or things regarding to certain things of the past, if there's not enough information, you can only go with the information that you do have and go with it. Now, there's further research that I will do and probably have it discussed after I've finished with the series of the pharaohs, of all the pharaohs of the dynasty, from Dynasty 1 to Dynasty 30. Right now we're on Dynasty 19. But I will do some further research, and after we finish this series, I am going to go into certain things about Kemet and explaining and talking more about the first, second, and the third cataract. I will go into things, but today we're just going to focus on Dynasty 19. And one thing I'm going to mention here, I'll probably mention after the show, after I finish here. But let's get into today's show and discuss the last 4 pharaohs of the 19th dynasty. Okay, now the fifth pharaoh of the 19th dynasty was Amenmesses. He reigned in 1202 to 1199 BC. Then you have Seti II, who reigned 1199 to 1193 BC. Then you have the pharaoh Siptah, who reigned 1193 to 1187 BC. And then the last reigning monarch of the 19th dynasty was Queen Twosret, who reigned 1187 to 1185 BC. Okay, so let's get into this. Now we're going to talk from Amenmesses to Queen Twosret. Alright, so let's get into this. And when Merneptah died in 1202 BC, a hiatus occurred in the succession. Instead of the crown prince Seti II, who had been associated with his father as ruler, ascended the throne, and unknown Amenmesses became king. The explanation for this is a mystery, but it has been suggested that in the unfortunate absence of the crown prince at the time of Merneptah's death, a lesser prince, the son of a lesser queen, Takhet, seized the initiative. Little is known of Amenmesses apart from a few minor inscriptions and the fact that during his short 4-year reign he began cutting a tomb in the Valley of the Kings, KV 10. The decoration in the tomb was as unusual finished. Possibly the king's mother Takhet and his wife Bakhtarel were also buried in the tomb, although it has been suggested that they were the mother and wife respectively of Ramses the Ninth. None of the 3 bodies has been identified. The successor to Amenmesses in 1199 BC was Seti II, who may have been the previously ousted crown prince. Certainly he seemed to have exercised a damnatio memorial on his predecessor's monuments and added his own name to earlier ones. 3 of his queens are known: Takhet II, Twosret, who was the mother of the eldest son and heir apparent, Seti Meretat, and Tai, who was the mother of Ramses Siptah. It seems that the heir apparent died before his father Seti II, and the younger son inherited the throne as a minor, taking the name of Siptah. The older queen, Twosret, is effect ruled in her stepson's name together with the chancellor, the so-called Kingmaker Bey, who was granted the privilege of a small private tomb in the Valley of the Kings, KV 13. Siptah died in year 6 and was buried in the upper part of the Valley of the King, KV 47, in a tomb that was apparently intended for himself and his mother, Queen Twosret. His large red granite sarcophagus still remains in the unfinished burial hall, but his body, notable for its deformity of a club foot, was found in the cache in the tomb of Amenhotep II, KV 35, in 1898. Curiously, shortly after the burial, the tomb was disturbed and his cartouche erased in the inscriptions to be subsequently restored in paint. Possibly the restoration was done under the Chancellor Bey. With Siptah's death, his stepmother Twosret declared herself queen using the full pharaonic titles as Hatshepsut had done some 300 years earlier. Her tomb in the valley, KV 14, had a history begun under Siptah in year 2. It was extended by Twosret possibly to receive the burials of herself and her first husband Seti II, but later usurped by Senuskhtet, first king of the 20th dynasty. A small cache of rather second-rate gold jewelry found in 1908 in a small pit tomb, KV 56, may have belonged to an infant daughter of Twosret and Seti II. So that is the end of the 19th dynasty. There was not too much done there. There was a little usurping of the throne, as it was mentioned, because when Merneptah died, his son was supposed to be, the crown prince was supposed to take the throne, but Amenmesses maneuvered and took the throne for himself. But then when Amenmesses died, Seti II resumed his rightful place as pharaoh. And when they somewhat are not pleased with a predecessor who was on the throne, or they didn't like what he did, they basically carved him out of history. Basically, that was a way of detaching him from the essence of Kemet and the spiritual order. So the 19th dynasty done tremendous things, and they played a pivotal role in Kemet's history. But we're going to go into the 20th dynasty, and as I mentioned, there are 10 pharaohs of the 20th dynasty. The first, the founder, Senuskhtet. He was the founder of the 20th dynasty, and he is the father of Ramses III, who I am a descendant of, and I'm also a descendant of Senuskhtet, obviously, because he's the father of Ramses III, but my DNA has been shown that I am a descendant of Ramses III, and I am proud to be a descendant of that great dynasty and royal bloodline. Now, the 20th dynasty, now a lot of people think because after Ramses III, he was considered the last great pharaoh of the New Kingdom period. He have done tremendous things as towards to maintain Kemet from many attacks, like the Sea Peoples who tried to attack Kemet, and there was further campaigns Ramses III was involved in, and also there was a conspiracy to kill Ramses III in which he was assassinated, and we're going to go into that and discuss that. And then his heir was Ramses IV. Now he had two sons, Ramses IV, excuse me, and the conspiracy that involved one of his other sons and his queen, who was part of his harem. She was a minor queen, Tai, and she was part of the conspiracy in which Ramses III was killed. Now he had a son called Potatoe, and his son was Pentuer. Now Pentuer was one of his sons, and his mother wanted him on the throne instead of his son Ramses, who was supposed to succeed him as Ramses IV. So there was an intrigue for fighting for the throne and fighting for power. Unfortunately, Ramses III was pretty much taken out of the game in order to make the move for the throne. And there was a huge conspiracy with that, but we're going to get into that, and we're going to talk about the first pharaohs, the first 5 pharaohs, which includes Seti, Ramses III, Ramses IV, Ramses V, and Ramses VI. So those are the first 5 pharaohs of the 20th dynasty we're going to discuss, and then we will discuss about the last 5, which is Ramses VI, Ramses VII, Ramses the 7th, Ramses the 8th, Ramses the 9th, Ramses the 10th, and Ramses the 11th. So we're going to talk about, it's going to be divided into 2 parts like all the others were. There's one thing I want to mention, and then I'm going to come to a close to today's show. What I wanted to do, I wanted to explain to all my audience members that I was thinking of changing my name, because you know my name is Amenhotep Khufu El Ra. I decided, and I've been thinking about it, and I've been talking to, praying about it, and doing some research and reaching out to the ancestors. And I was thinking about changing my name instead of Amenhotep to Ramses, to honor my royal lineage from Ramses III. So I would like to know the audience. Should I change my name to Ramses or keep it at Amenhotep? Let me know. Please leave. You can leave your opinions on the show's message. Let me know, or you can do that. Let me know, and let me know if you would like for me to change it to Ramses to honor my ancestor Ramses III, or just keep it at Amenhotep. So once again, thank you for tuning in to the Royal House of Ra. Please continue your support of this YouTube channel. Remember, click the like button because it really helps out the channel. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and look forward in seeing you this Thursday, March the 24th, where we'll be discussing the 20th dynasty. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and God bless.